Ever wondered how to apply a real, true ceramic coating?
This is the video for you. Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick with DIY Detail.
And we're going to show you how to install the DIY Detail ceramic coating.
It's a great coating. It will give you longevity in the ballpark of 3 years, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how you handle your car.
Right.
But a huge part of how long it's going to last is how you apply it. And this is going to be a super simple way on how to do it.
Now, this car is actually part of a whole video series that's up here. We have polished the car, we have prepped it, we have washed it, we've done all sorts of things to it. And we're going to be applying the ceramic coating, but not to the whole car. We're going to be applying it to different sections of the car, and then for a month or so, taking it through a car wash every day.
Every day?
Every day. As soon as we can, at the end of the day, we'll take it through a car wash. Sylvia and I live in a bus, and this follows our bus 3 feet behind it. It gets covered in dirt, as you can see in the photo here. In order to wash it, we don't always have the capacity to wash it. So we're gonna be taking it through car washes no matter what it looks like, different places around the country, and seeing how the ceramic coating performs in terms of making it easier to wash, how it stays cleaner, what it looks like in the rain, and how badly or how well it stands up to the car washes.
DIY stands for do it yourself. So I'm taking 2 things away from what you said, Ivan. One, we're gonna show you how to apply this.
Yeah.
It's easy. We're gonna show you how to do it the right way. And number 2, in the real world, you're a do-it-yourselfer, you're a human being, life gets busy, you can take a coated car through a car wash.
Right.
And those videos that are going to come in the future, those are gonna prove it.
So applying the ceramic coating, super easy. Now, like I said, we're not just gonna split the car in half, we're actually gonna break it up into different sections. So one fender will be done, the door won't. The next fender will be done, and on the other side, we'll be doing the opposite of that. So that way, it gets really interesting when we take it through the car wash, and it's not just one side. And this is the DIY Detail ceramic coating. In this box, you get a beautiful bottle that doesn't have a label. Now, normally we have a label, but we've actually sold out of the ceramic coating. So we still had boxes, we ran out of labels, we ran out of ceramic coating, but we still have this bottle, so we're gonna be using it. And when you get your bottle, it'll have a label on it. This is the applicator we're gonna be using. This is a microfiber applicator, very simple, and has a plastic liner inside it. So your ceramic coating isn't going into the foam that's behind the microfiber. And we're simply dabbing it on the applicator. And that's a little bit too much.
But accidents happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And we know this happens in DIY world. So
right.
If that happened to you, you would know, wow, time to stop.
And normally in our bottles, we have a little thing in there that allows for dabbing.
A little stopper.
Yeah, exactly. So that you're not gonna get this happening. But nonetheless,
I like showing this as the real world though. Nothing's gonna be perfect.
yeah.
And you basically were trying to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, like 5 little dots on there. And then applying the ceramic coating is very easy. Let me put this bottle down. So here we go. I'm just gonna be doing this half of the hood. So I'll break it, not necessarily in half, I'll use this body line as my break point. And I'm going to be boxing in the panel that I want to coat. And then in a circular motion, applying the coating.
Ivan, why do we do this in a circular motion?
Well, you could do triangles, squares, rectangles, whatever geometric shape you like. You could even do straight lines like this. But the problem with doing straight lines like this is every time you stop, you have a potential for a high spot. Whereas in a circular motion, you're never stopping. So you have less chance of a high spot. Now, we'll tell you what a high spot is in a moment. We'll purposely make a high spot right there. We'll let that cure out for a little while. Now the coating, depending on the humidity, depending on the temperature, you're going to have different reactions. So what we're looking for here is it's starting to look like a bit like an oil slick on water. And when it starts going back to clear, and actually I have a little too much coating on here.
Okay, I can see it here. I see the
Yeah. And like I said, we have a little bit too much coating on there, so it's not curing as it should. because that little
You
extra
can
drop
see the
on it.
lines there compared to over here,
Yeah.
where we've done our enhancement polish, which is in a previous video that we're going to link up above. Okay,
Right.
so you've let it cure for about how long?
It's been about a minute now, and time really isn't of the essence. What is of the essence is you're letting it go back to almost clear, because you don't want to wipe off the coating. You want to level the coating with the towel. We're not using a very absorbent towel. We're using a pearl weave. It's an 80-20, and we'll get into microfibers in one of our podcasts. And now we're almost back to clear. We're about 70% cleared up. So what we're going to do is take our towel and level the coating. So like I said, we're not actually removing the coating. We're just leveling it. Our towel should not get wet throughout this process.
And what may be visible left behind are going to be possibly deep scratches that we chose for the integrity of this clear coat to leave when we did our enhancement polish.
Right.
We polished this to make it shiny, not to remove some of these deeper scratches. And so we're being realistic in the real world, where we want to help you safely polish your vehicle. If you've never done it before, you're still getting shiny paint, so that was not high spots left over by the coating.
Right. Now, we're going to leave this panel undone because it's going to be going through a car wash, and this is a test. So we're going to be doing the next panel, which is the door.
So Ivan, what you're telling me is you're actually going to do half of the hood, leave a quarter panel, and what, do a checkerboard type thing on the vehicle here?
Exactly.
Tell me more.
And this will allow us to have a real world test, first of all. Secondly, it's going to give us a very visual representation of what a coating can and can't do.
You just did 3 dots to, I guess, reapplicate.
Right, now that we're primed, we don't need to do anything else. We
And
don't need
I
to
know-
add a lot more.
I know what you mean, but what do you mean when you say primed?
Basically, we have coating on the applicator already. Now we're just applying additional coating to the surface.
Are we living in the danger zone by putting a coating bottle on the vehicle, or is that a fairly safe operation? Looks like a pro move, Ivan.
It's a fairly safe operation.
Okay.
So, like I said, this fender isn't done, so we're going to do the door. Now, the door, same thing, and it's a rather long door. It's a 2-door car, even though it's a very small car. The door is rather long, so I'm going to break it into 2 sections. I'm going to start with the back section because I want that high spot to cure a little longer. And we're actually doing the moldings. So I'm going to box in this section. And I'll do the bottom of the door a little later. And get into here very well. I want this door handle to be protected and the door cup. Now that I've got it boxed in, I'll do the circular motion thing, filling in the center. And let me do the bottom of the door at this point. We'll get it on there, and there we go.
Ivan, I'm struck by how squeaky clean this paint is. We used our panel prep beforehand so that the coating will have maximum durability and adhere to the paint in the way that it's meant to do.
Exactly. Now, one thing I'm going to do on every part of the car is every piece of glass, because I know what the coating is going to do for the glass, and I don't want to have visibility issues. Coating gives you much better visibility, so we are going to coat all the glass on the car. And coating the glass is very simple. We apply the coating. Again, I didn't apply any additional coating to the applicator here because we don't need a lot on the glass.
Are you using pressure when you apply that foam block?
No pressure whatsoever.
How about on the wipe off?
None at all. Pressure is something that should never happen in detailing. If it feels like you're working, you're probably doing something wrong. And pressure is one of those things that it feels like you're working. So you see I've applied it to this little plastic piece here, the wind deflector. I'll apply it to this piano black section. Nice little 500C emblem here. We'll cure a little bit on there. And now this section is ready to wipe off, or to level actually. Like I said before, we're not actually wiping the coating off, we're leveling the coating. I'm going to be doing this whole door, so I'm not too concerned about the starting and stopping point, because the starting and stopping point is the fender over here. Now, let's check back in on that high spot. So we can see this high spot here, and that's what a high spot will look like. And when I wiped it, there's still a little bit of a high spot there. So we can wipe a little more, and there, it's gone. But if you happen to leave your high spot on just a little too long, you can actually re-wet it with your applicator and then immediately wipe it off.
That is a pro tip right there.
Right, and now we're gonna finish off this door. Doing our best not to touch the fender. And as long as you're leaving coating on the surface, you don't need to apply more to your applicator.
People out there are gonna ask, how much car can I get out of a bottle of this coating?
2 or 3 cars.
What about a giant truck?
So if you got a nice, really big F350 or 3500 HD or something like that, you'll get 1.5 of those maybe.
But maybe like 6 Fiats?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're only doing selective panels.
But you can absolutely tell the difference between this panel and this one being coated and the other not being coated.
Exactly.
It's really apparent.
Now I'll do this little piano black section here. We'll do the back window as well because I don't want to leave any window uncoated.
That's a safety issue right there, huh?
It is. I'm not worried about the paint, but I am worried about seeing out the car. And of course, the rear view mirror. Now, for the back of the vehicle, I'm actually gonna do a line in the center. So we'll do half of the trunk, half of the bumper, one of the taillights, and we'll see how that goes. So a few more drops on the applicator. And off we go. So we haven't touched this fender at all. So let's do half of this trunk lid. The rear tail light here. And the rear bumper. We'll stop at the halfway point. You'll notice we're putting it on the chrome, we're putting it on the trim. I even put it on the license plate.
Not on your cereal though. You wouldn't recommend it on cereal?
No, cereal is not good, even toast. Now the back window again, we'll do the whole back window. And half of the spoiler. But I'm gonna go just to the light here. That way, the light itself is gonna shine.
I can definitely see this high spot.
Right, so that was too much applied. So what we can do is we'll just level that high spot with the applicator because we don't want to waste the product. So we're actually going to pick it up off the surface with the applicator. Let it cure for a moment. And while that's curing, Nick was talking about his gas cap here because he polished this section. So I'm actually just going to do the gas cap itself, or the gas cap door.
Seems like a wise life decision.
There we go. So we'll see how that fares over time.
You saw it, folks. He did the gas cap. All right, we haven't touched it, and I'm seeing, yeah, some coating to wipe off. Let's see how that wipes off.
Right. So very simple wipe off. And again, we're not wiping it off. We're leveling the coating. It's a very important difference.
So in terms of chemistry, the coating is bonding to the extent that the clear coat will take it, and we're wiping off the excess.
We're actually spreading the excess. We're actually not wiping anything off. If you're doing it right, if you're hitting it at the right time, your towel should never get wet because you're not actually wiping coating off. You're not actually removing coating. The little bit that's left on the surface, you're quickly leveling it and it's flashing and it's basically curing quickly there.
Okay.
So we'll do half our spoiler like we said, or a little more than half, 2/3 in this case. Because this really helps the aerodynamics of the car.
Of course it does.
Yeah, and finally, the rear bumper.
I mean, I think it's a scientific fact that the cleaner the car, the faster it drives.
Oh, definitely. It sounds better, it goes faster, better fuel economy.
What are some top mistakes? Because you do trainings all over the country. What are some top mistakes people make when they're coating cars?
Applying too much coating is one.
How is that possible?
It just makes your life too hard because you're having to wipe off this excess coating. It's very difficult and you're just wasting product.
So it's almost like use a small section size, work in small sections, and just stay in control as opposed to, I mean, we tell people you can do a panel at a time.
You can do a panel at a time, and depending on your environmental conditions. So we're in an air-conditioned garage. The humidity level is controlled. Everything is controlled. I can let this cure a little longer. I'm not worried about it. If you're doing this outside in the sun, and yes, you can do this outside in the sun, you just need to work a little quicker. You need to be conscious of what's happening with your coating. Before doing anything with it. So I did the window and I see that I actually missed a little spot here. There we go.
I just love how forgiving this coating is because there are some where if you missed a spot and you went on to the next panel and you came back, you couldn't wipe it off.
No, exactly.
You couldn't blend it in. It would have a visual high spot that would be very difficult to contend with, and in some cases would require polishing, whereas for us, it's a DIY friendly coating. But it's a good one, and so that's why it's so important. Get your paint prepped properly, work in small sections, and have fun.
Definitely. Now I actually got a little bit on the back bumper there, so not a big deal. It's not as if adding more protection is a bad thing. And while you're wiping off the excess coating or leveling the coating, you can actually feel it in the towel. So if you missed a spot, if you have a high spot, even if you don't see it, you'll feel it in your towel because the towel will instantly grab. Get the rocker panel here, and then we'll do the driver's side window. Because as I mentioned before, I want to get all the windows.
I like to wait to do the lower sections last, just in case I missed something when I was cleaning.
Yep.
My coating towel ends up grimy because I possibly didn't wash the rocker panel as well as I should have.
Well, and we have a warehouse full of towels right here, so I'm not really concerned about that, but yeah, you're right. Now I am gonna do the glass, as I said, all the way around, and I am gonna do the mirror. I'm not gonna do the mirror cap, but I am actually gonna do the mirror itself. Just that way, again, for safety. I know what a coating does for me on glass, so I want that safety and security that it offers. And on glass, we can level it a little sooner.
People are gonna ask, Ivan, what's the cure time on this? And I know what the chemistry suggests.
Right.
I'd like to know what your encouragement is to the average end user in terms of this ceramic coating.
So the cure time, ideally, don't drive it for a day. Or overnight at least, not a day. A day is a little too long. But don't drive it overnight. Now, if you have to drive it, or you're living dangerously and you don't have a garage, you're parked outside like most people, then as long as it doesn't rain within 1 hour, you're fine. Now, the higher the humidity, the faster it cures. So if you're in a very high humidity situation, we can cut that down to 49 minutes, maybe even 48. But if you're in a low humidity situation, leave it a little longer. Now, as for washing though, we want to wait at least 7 days. But I'm going to be living on the edge with this because people are watching. And we want to torture test the coating basically. So what we'll be doing, we'll give it a couple days, but by the end of this week, we'll be putting this out into car washes, chemical and mechanical and all sorts of different types of brushes to see how the coating holds up.
Now you're not getting that other half of the hood, obviously.
No. But on the other side, we didn't do the fender, so I'm doing the fender here.
This is so bizarre. I've never seen anybody checkerboard their car with coating like this.
Hey, it's my company, my coating, my car, my sacrifice. But we'll see.
Ivan's a one-of-a-kind individual, folks. He gets red shoes to match the signature red and black colors of DIY. He's all in.
I didn't go shopping for red shoes, but I saw them and said, hey, that might be nice.
The red shoes found you.
Yeah, exactly. They came after me. So now we have one last section to do, actually two. We have the whole windshield to do and half of the front bumper. On this front bumper, you can see this is paint protection film and it's doing its job. You can see how abused it is because this car tailgates our bus everywhere. It's 3 feet from the rear bumper of the bus. It gets damaged. So that is why we're wanting a ceramic coating on here. And I'm going to be doing the headlight on the side. We didn't do the headlight on the other side. And I'm doing the bumper here.
Can you go ahead and show us what it looks like when you put the coating on that front trim? This piece here.
It darkens it up.
It's nice. I like that.
As it should. So you can see how abused this front end gets. And we'll do half the little Fiat logo here.
Just half.
Yeah.
It's appropriate.
So at this point, we've put the coating on paint, obviously. We put it on paint protection film. We've put it on plastic headlights. We put it on tail lights. We put it on chrome trim. We put it on plastic trim. We put it on rubber trim. And the windows. So finally, one last section to do. That's the windows. And off we go. So Nick is going to be applying to the windows. And some people are concerned about their wiper blades not working properly once you put a coating on. What happens is your wiper blade still works the way it did, but before you had so much friction that the wiper was moving a lot more. Now with the coating, your wiper isn't experiencing the friction that it did before. And if your wiper arm is slightly twisted, then your wiper doesn't sit perpendicular to your piece of window, to your glass. And let me explain that a little better. So you have your window that's here, and your wiper blade should sit at 90 degrees to it. But if your wiper blade is tilted one way or the other, it's going to chatter. So when it's going like this, as your wiper blade is sweeping, it's doing this way, and this way. But if you happen to have it tilted this way, when it's going this way, it'll be fine. When it's going this way, instead of bending over and doing what it's supposed to do, it's going to chatter and jump. With the laced resistance of the coating on the glass, it's not bending over like it did before and following. Now it's really chattering because there's no resistance. So if you are getting chattering from your wipers in one direction, you can actually bend the little wiper arm to get your wiper blade perpendicular to the glass.
Ivan dropping wisdom as he does.
That's what I do. Years of experience have to pay off for someone.
I am just sort of overdoing it on glass. I'm rubbing in.
And you actually left a high spot.
Oh yeah, well, I may have left a high spot to you. But to me, I'm just getting started.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, I've got the different angles. I'm gonna reevaluate, have
Yeah.
a conversation with the coating, make sure it feels okay.
Yeah.
Is it comfortable? Does it need a therapist? You know, we get nice and intimate. And when I say we, I mean me and the coating. What am I talking about, Ivan?
I have no idea. It's an inert object. Once it's applied to the car, is just there.
And you can just look at it from different angles if you want, but it's so easy to wipe off. Like, there was a high spot, I did not need to reapplicate
No.
on my applicator. Okay.
And I think it's reapply, not reapplicate. But, you know,
Well,
English is a second language for me.
Yeah, it's like third language for me.
Yeah,
I speak
okay.
pretty good. I learn good.
Yeah.
There you go, Evan.
There you go. So we have a little high spot down here. Not a big deal. It'll wipe right off. And there we have it. So Nick, what have we done to this car?
Well, we applicated a lot of coating on
Yeah.
it.
No.
What we've done, we've polished it. Not necessarily to perfection, but to a nice, glossy cherry red. We have coated not every panel, but every
Other panel.
Half the hood, half of this, half of that.
Right.
You watched it. Ivan told you about it. I filmed it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a little talked out. Like, the coating speaks for itself. I love this process. We've had a ton of fun on this series.
Exactly.
What are your final thoughts?
Well, final thoughts is I still have another month of cleaning this car and seeing how the coating reacts. So for today, we're done. As I mentioned, the coating is easy to apply, easy to remove or not remove, level. And when you're done with your coating applicator, you don't need to throw it away. And same thing with your towel, you don't need to throw this away. Put it in your wash bucket, whether it be rinseless or soap. Rinse it out a little bit, rinse it in the sink, and you're good to go. It'll be good for the next time.
Sometimes I'll put a bucket on the ground, and if I have a coating applicator or towel, I may put a little all clean in there.
Yep.
Small purpose cleaner, let it soak in there. And that's one strategy among many.
Exactly.
But don't overthink it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We hope we made this as easy as it feels for us.
Right.
For you to understand, to like love and have a protected car.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, leave them below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and leave your comments, please. We love your comments. We read every single one of them and we answer every single one of them.
For Ivan, I'm Nick with DIY Detail.
See you in the next one.